Welcome to the NFL Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by lineups.com. Nate and Josh here, 1 week ahead of the Super Bowl with you guys. We're going to be taking a look at some player props we've got a little early here, obviously, as we get ahead of some stuff and some early lines with you guys. Definitely make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We're coming back again, week of Super Bowl, so we can get some more plays out to you, get a little bit more fun stuff. Maybe you take a look at some of the sides and totals of the game. But let's go ahead and get right into the first thing we're talking about here. Boutte, getting back into Kayshon Boutte and what we like about him to go over 30.5 yards in the Super Bowl, Nate.
Kayshon Boutte.
Excuse me.
I mean, yeah, it's not the best matchup for Boutte, but it is certainly better than the last time we saw him, which was one-on-one with Pat Surtain, who just took him around town and showed him a few things and did not let him catch but one ball on his 6 targets. But Drake Maye did not hesitate to go deep to him. He is the number one receiver in terms of snaps and routes all season. And I mean, while Stephon Diggs might draw more attention and be a name that's more recognizable, his ADOT was extremely low in the playoffs the last couple of weeks, while Boutte has been used deep and it was last seen burning Derek Stingley, maybe the best corner in the league right there with Surtain for a highlight touchdown. I mean, he's implied to top 17.5 as his longest reception. So do we like him for one or two more? I do. I mean, the market has pushed this up from 26.5 where it opened. I think that's correct, in my opinion. And yeah, I mean, he's primarily going to line up against Reek Woolen, who is very good, but also very big, 6'4". Definitely doesn't have the speed of Surtain or Stingley. He's been hurt by guys like Devontae Adams as recently as last week. And actually, in tougher matchups, Boutte's ADOT, it went up to 18.3 from 15.3 in bottom 10 pass defense matchups. So again, yeah, Drake Maye, when he doesn't see much there, he's like, all right, down the sideline to Boutte. He's a big game hunter. He loves to go deep. And yeah, you got to forget that the Patriots offense looked like the last time we saw them in that Snow Bowl, where Drake Maye attempted just 7 passes. Like, this could be a completely different story in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think that's the key here, and that's kind of why I just get right into to Drake Maye and talk about his completions. We don't necessarily not necessarily looking for him to go deep super often. I know that we do like Boutte there as the guy to at least catch some of those higher ADOT targets for him. But this is basically like Drake Maye in a situation where he's coming back from not consistently having to throw the ball, essentially over basically his last 5 games he's been under this number here, but the Pats have been in complete control in these games, including in the playoffs, as we know. So once you give him and what we're calling the best coaching staff in the NFL, shout out Vrabel, when you give them an extra week to scheme for stuff, I'm gonna kind of like him to be able to find ways to beat a defense that you can't really go too deep against too often, right? This Seattle squad is 4th in terms of limiting the opponent's ADOT. They do force you to sort of get those quicker passes out because of the pressure that they bring. You know that. It's a big reason why they've also given up a lot to running backs as well. And we can see Drake Maye sort of relying on those safety valves and outlets, easier passes. It's a Super Bowl for a young quarterback. It makes complete sense. And like you said, just let's not worry too much about what we saw as they're just playing in a blizzard. And then the week before, you're talking about a Texans defense that would not have been anywhere near as far into the playoffs as it got without the defense doing what it did all season, especially the way CJ Stroud was looking. So I think all those games, game script was just against you for Drake Maye volume, for Drake Maye to have to do a lot in general, just wasn't there. And they established that they wanted Rhamondre, even before it turned into the blizzard that it was in that game against Denver, they were establishing Rhamondre. And it was just put 2 hands on the ball, run forward, get us 6 yards and fall forward. But that's all we need against a team like Denver. I mean, that type of stuff, it doesn't feel like it's going to be quite as available against Seattle, just running it up the middle like that. You try to take some pressure off him to get the play action going. But again, I think it's a lot of safety valve stuff for him. And we're going to see them in a game script that's not probably going, it would imagine, right? It seems more likely that this one's not going to just be them against Jared Stidham winning and in control the whole time.
Yeah, and you look at some of the game log stuff for Drake Maye when they lost too early season, 29 completions. When they won in Buffalo, is coming out party this year, 22. And when they came back at Baltimore in a shootout, 31 for 44. So he's capable of doing it if he's pressed into it. And I mean, nobody really expecting the Patriots to be in control throughout this one. Maybe some people are taking the points and thinking they have a shot to win, but to just absolutely shut down Seattle, it seems unlikely. But let me close out. Yeah, just because we got 3 Pats picks here at the top, then we'll look at some Seahawks. Fading Rhamondre. Like you said, they were establishing him early. I don't think he's going to have as much success here. Maybe he still has the volume, but it took him 25 carries against Denver to get the stats he got, and he still didn't hit this number on the longest rush. He had 12, and now you're facing a Seattle defense that's actually much better against the run, and number one in the league in explosive run play allowed, under 2%. Just held Kyron Williams to a long of 11 and a long of 8 when they met the Rams in Week 16. Held CMC to longs of 8 and 5 in 2 weeks apart, right? And Rhamondre has been good. He is not on the level of those guys, certainly not of CMC, who's probably the best back in football. And they play a lot of light box because their defensive line is so good, Seattle. And that, when facing that type of look, the Patriots do adjust generally. They actually don't give the ball to Rhamondre that often. He has a 35% carry rate against the light box, which is 55th among running backs. That's changed a little bit here in the playoffs, and the Seahawks are going to change some things as well. But it's just a lack of success that you expect. I mean, that is why he projects closer to 13, 14 carries here out in Santa Clara versus in the Snow Bowl in Denver. And you're probably unlikely to break a big one up the middle against this Seattle defense. It's so strong.
Yeah, I think it's a sneaky good look for taking the long under there because the carries could be decent either way. Like I would actually put it like you were saying, like it just seems a lot more likely that he's just gonna be involved in the pass game a bit more than necessarily the run game when it comes to how you beat Seattle. And if Seattle does what they do, which is try to score early and then rely on that defense to limit you, then I think that the under on a long play for him is a really good look here. Let's take some rushing overs for our boy Sam Darnold. Didn't see this one covered, did you, boys? Over 6.5 rush yards for Sammy D, but I think it's a really, we'll call it again, a sneaky good look. And not just because he's sneaky athletic. It's also just because of the situation where he's probably going to be pressured out of that pocket. Patriots are fourth in pressure rate on the quarterback this season, and he's had a number of games where he's been pressured a ton. Take the Chargers game, 20 pressures that he received that game. 10 of those turned to rush attempts, essentially 57 yards rushing. That was for Herbert when the Patriots played against the Chargers there. 20 pressures for the Patriots on Herbert really caused him to have to get out of the pocket. Same when you were talking about Stroud a few games ago, 19 pressures versus Stroud. He got outside there for like 2. He hasn't been running because they've been trying to keep him under wraps so he just doesn't hit his head on the freaking pavement again, essentially. 2 for 11 in that game. And it was like, wow, you forced CJ Stroud out of the pocket to run. And same for Stidham as well. He had 13 of his 28 dropbacks, was getting a ton of pressure. He went for 4 rushes on 23 attempts there. I think like 4 attempts for Darnold is pretty conservative. Like I don't see any reason why he would have to stay home if he's getting forced out there. And if there is nothing deep, as we know that the Patriots are really going to try to take away deep stuff for the two, especially for JSN. That's going to be like the focus. It's just going to be make sure this dude isn't the one that's beating us. You're going to have to go a little bit lower. You're going to have to throw it a little bit shorter. And if Sam, we know how often they like to go deep. If he's not going to have that available, there's going to be room in front of him to just take over. And this should be could be done on one attempt, essentially, with the amount of room that he should have in front of him on certain plays if the deep ball isn't there.
Yeah, you're counting on a long run or on volume just due to the pressure. Like, I mean, they had 20 pressures against the Chargers. Herbert ran 10 times, 19 against the Texans, and Stroud, who doesn't ever run, goes for 11 yards. And Stiddy, actually, a couple designed runs early, gets it going against them. And so maybe it's the same kind of thing where the Seahawks see some vulnerabilities in the way the Patriots play defense, and they're able to get Darnold on a designed run, which would be truly shocking. But I think, the scramble should be there because I don't think either offense is going to have a ton of success here. It's just a mismatch in terms of like the defense is being so much better. And when the defense is better, usually, as we saw with Drake Maye last time out, you got to take off and make something happen. I'll go with George Holani here for the last pick on the receiving yards. And this number ranges from 8.5 to 11.5 at different books. I think, 9.5 is a nice middle to take here. I'm fine with anything in that range. He caught 3 or 4 targets versus the Rams. It was charged with a drop on the 4th one, but it was really an off-target throw. The important thing is he ran 17 routes on 23 snaps, and that's 44% of the dropbacks for Darnold. So when he's out there, he's either in pass pro or he's out running a route, because Kenneth Walker, as good as he's been, electric, in fact, as a runner, has been a bad pass protector all year. And that's why Zach Charbonnet was playing so much. And now Holani is basically Zach Charbonnet. Maybe a few snaps fewer because he doesn't have the amount of experience, but he's going to slot into that role. Sharps ran actually 9.6 routes per game on the season, up to 17 routes per game in the final 3 regular season for the Seahawks as they tried to adjust to some things. That offensive line could be a little bit better if Charles Cross is able to go. The Pats run D, as we know, is elite. So you're not really trying to go right up the middle against Milton Williams and Tonga. But like the Seahawks, because they're so good, they've allowed the 5th most receptions to running backs. They have really good corners that funnels targets onto the interior, to the running back, to the tight end, to the slot guy. And that's why I like a running back to just catch a couple out of the backfield and make something happen.
Yeah, makes sense. Game flow, everything. I think the way that he's going to be used, I'm with it on this one. And I think this guy might actually be the beneficiary of a guy like Holani being able to block on a 3rd down and use Cooper Kupp in those situations where you're like, we need 6, 7, 8 yards, Coop. Can we just please rely on you to run that route, come right back, and we'll find you on the sideline, or if you run the out route to the sideline, or if you just come back on the dig in the slot. But the key is you want to take a slot guy against the Pats, where we talked about how they're going to try to take away everything from JSN deep. They're going to try to make sure that the middle of the field is not open, and certainly the sideline. They're going to have eyes on him consistently. This is where you get Coop to come back in the spots where they need him. So I think the receptions here, it's classic, plus 135 gets you over 3.5. If you want to play 2.5 and just sort of take the juice there, minus 160. Like, I play both. It's a Super Bowl, man. There's no tomorrow at this point. You just go ahead and play both if you want. But the receiving yards themselves, those are actually kind of picking up steam a little bit too much for my liking. They're going up to about 32.5 on the yards now. And like 10 yards per reception is just not something I want to have to bank on for Coop necessarily, or even like 8, let's say, based on how many targets he's looking at. But I think this is where you, like we said, you attack Marcus Jones versus trying to attack Gonzalez or trying to attack Carlton Davis on the outside. This is where you go to get some receptions against this Patriots squad. And if you look at him in terms of the last 2 playoff games, just caught 9 of his 11 targets, 48 yards per game. I think this is just another, it's a former Super Bowl MVP. It's just a spot where you expect him to step up and make plays that are thrown to him. So even if he's anywhere around 5, 6 targets, I do like him to catch most of the balls coming his way.
Yeah, it's starting to game steam, as you said, but like such a light workload all throughout the season that I don't think the numbers have still caught up to what Kupp is capable of as the clear second target next to JSN, who's maybe the best receiver in football, certainly best receiver in this game, who's going to draw a ton of attention from an organization that is routinely sold out against the top receiver. And now is what you saved Cooper Kupp for, is like, all right, we got to clear out with JSN and we got to pick up this first down. So let's go to the man who's been here before and who we trust to catch the ball.
Absolutely. Yep. And like that is all the time we have for you today. Like we said, we will be back here with another episode week of the Super Bowl, coming to you guys with some more plays. So much to look at in the Super Bowl. So hopefully we'll have some fun stuff and some props in there for you as well. And until we see you next, happy betting.